Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Life loop. Has anyone had any experience or insight that would suggest we're living the same life on repeat? I've been researching this, and so far I've found two individuals claiming to know that they're living the same life over and over again. One described a spiral existence and said they've tried to self-terminate themselves multiple times with no lasting success. The other said that each life is like a VHS tape that can be viewed/lived through again and again, without much freedom to make different choices. I find this whole notion disturbing. I don't remember the majority of my life, but for whatever reason, the following memory stuck with me and seems relevant. Be me. Small kid, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Piss off parents. Dad says, "We were going to buy you a bike today, but you screwed up," essentially. Big sad. Later, was in bed, looking at my wall, when I started speaking to someone and casually said, "Hey, I made a mistake, please put me back in the same day so I can correct it." Considered it done, no doubt at all. Woke up the next day, thinking it should be the previous day. Very startled to find it's a new day, and my parents remembered me doing whatever I did wrong. Had issues with time and the way it works throughout my childhood, could not get it, and kept thinking, this is stupid and not how it's supposed to be.
I have an instinct that tells me to be pretty confident that I accomplished some kind of ascension. I am also confident that it is not just main character syndrome. Either, I have been researching heavily, and continue to do so, on the very principles of transmutation you speak of. It is at the core of most philosophy, and once the bigger picture clicks, you know your enlightenment as all things become whole. I am whole in mind and spirit, but the physical body is divided by time. Now I simply wait to see what lies ahead, contentedly following my nature. I feel my main purpose is yet to be fulfilled, though I admit I know nothing for certain. I find solace in the fact that the state I have reached thus far is satisfactory for an eternal state, and so a time loop poses no threat to me. Even if my memory is compiled throughout, I am not trapped. I just am.
It's what quantum immortality is. The only difference is your concurrent shift to closed reality with minor memory wipe.
Yes, that's more or less it, with the difference that you've mentioned. Just looking for people's experiences and insights about this, on the slim chance that anyone knows how to escape it. I've had different weird experiences, like there was this being tormenting me for a while. He could rearrange my reality and speak to me through it, and through my thoughts. I asked him, I called him the king to kill me one time, and he said he can't, but that he'd allow me to leave when I can.
I had an experience where I think I died and either jumped to another universe where I didn't, or got saved somehow. Had to drive to the drugstore to get some painkillers for my girlfriend, and was driving back home. I stopped due to a red light. As I'm waiting there, I hear a vehicle speeding. I see a car in the distance, it's headed towards my direction. Looks like a drunk driver. Screw this red light, I'm outta here. Driver is coming way too fast. I realized I won't be able to escape. I tried to brace for impact. Very loud noise. Everything goes black. Notice that I'm floating in some sort of void. There's nothing around me, absolutely nothing. It feels kinda peaceful though. Part of me wants to relax and remain there. I start to think of my life and the people I love. Started to feel this intense feeling of rejection. I needed to get out of there, now. The void started to spin, and I began to see more and more color. Eventually, I realized that I was back at the red light, inside my car. WTF just happened.jpg. No sign of the drunk driver, it's like it never existed. Drive home. Can barely leave the car, legs are shaking. Girlfriend tells me that I look like a ghost, and asks WTF happened. I made up some BS excuse. This happened about 4 years ago and I still don't know what happened to me. It really made me believe in reincarnation and the many universes theory.
Interesting. I never felt that I was being sorted or fixed, but I believe rejecting the reality was what brought me back. When I was giving in, I was slowly disconnecting myself from life. I began to not care about the void or what happened to myself. I was slowly but surely disappearing, in the sense that I believed that my soul was being wiped and being prepared for reincarnation or who knows what. When I rejected it all, I was brought back quite fast. It might have something to do with that entity wanting the guy to either give in or pick a reality. In a way, I just wanted to be brought back, so I picked a random safe reality to go back to, even if I didn't know what I was doing.
OP, you're freaking me out because this post seemed to trigger a suppressed memory of mine when I was a lot younger. First of all, I have thought of this theory you're describing since the incident I will refer to in a moment. The theory about how we are living in a single moment of our whole life, and to expand, how when we die, we essentially are reborn into our same life again and relive it eternally, making different decisions each time. But this is not a thought that I happened to come across or think up myself. When I was about 10 years old, I remember waking up to this weird sound, like wub wub wub, but slower, and the brightest lights of different colors right outside my bedroom window. It looked like something was hovering right above the apple tree in my garden. It was right there, flashing lights and just floating. I sat in my bed and looked at it for a few moments. I knew of the idea of alien life, but always thought it was just a cartoon or a joke. I thought I was just dreaming, so I ran to my parents' room and shook my dad violently and called for them to get up and look out the window. They just laid there on the bed, still fast asleep, but I was shouting and seriously shaking him and my mother. I ran down to the back door, with access to the garden, and intended to open the door to approach this thing. But something in my mind told me it was a bad idea, so I just looked at it from behind the safety of the glass of the back door. And then it shot away so fast, like a line of light gone. But that is where it gets weird. I wake up in my bed and it is bright outside. It must have been around 8:30 a.m. and I used to wake up at around 7 a.m. for school. I jump out of bed and immediately run to the kitchen where my mom and dad are eating breakfast. Dad was reading a newspaper, and he looks at me and says, "What were you running around the house for last night?" Immediately I reply with the obvious, "What? I tried shaking you and shouting at you, but you didn't answer me or wake up. Neither of you did. I was screaming for you to wake up and look out the window." My dad replies, laughing, "What? You never did that. I would have definitely woken up if you were shaking us in the middle of the night." Yeah, I know, what the hell? The memory goes blurry from here, unfortunately, but all I remember is that whole day at school I was thinking about this idea that we don't ever die, we just get reborn into ourselves over and over again. I have no idea why, but it's exactly how you described it in your post. And I swear on my life those events happened, and I also swear that those thoughts suddenly started that day. It could have been a dream, and I thought about that all day and for a long time after it. But then what the hell was my dad saying I was running around the house for? I could have been sleepwalking, but I've never ever done it in my life, not before this event and not after it either. How did he know I was running around the house if I was trying to wake him up? I'm so confused, I just want it to make sense, and case closed it. I just wish I knew if it was all in my head or if I did see something. Just thought I'd add a few missed details too. I didn't proofread those posts as I was just typing as the memory came back to me. 1. When I woke up to the sound and lights, it must have been late. It was pitch black outside apart from this object hovering above the tree. It was definitely generating some kind of force out of the bottom of it though, as the apple tree was shaking violently, as if a real strong wind was blowing. I also now remember that most of the apples had fallen off the tree the next few days, but this could have just been pure coincidence and unrelated to this event entirely. 2. My mom and dad did ask me what I meant when I said I was trying to get them to look outside the window. They looked confused, but when I told them, "I saw this UFO hovering over our garden, it had crazy lights and was making a really loud noise, how did you not hear it?" Obviously, it was then a funny story to them, and I was just dreaming, which could absolutely have been the case, but it just doesn't add up in my head. I have no recollection of walking back to bed, which would certainly add credit to the idea of it being a dream, but it was so vivid, and it felt so real. And I woke up much later than I usually would, slept through the alarm. And my dad said I was running around the house. Confusion is an understatement.
My research brought me to 4chan's favorite platform, where I found lots and lots of people talking about time loops. Not in this context, but just in general. Time loops in books, movies, people claiming to be stuck in a time loop, etc. Apparently nothing new has happened in pop culture to trigger this interest. However, Google Trends shows a marked increase in searches for time loop, starting at the beginning of July. The first related query that comes up is the Time of Rebirth. I don't know what that is, but the plot thickens, I guess.
The universe is going through iterations. Originally, it was 10-dimensional. Light speed was infinite and everything either happened at once or not at all. Did it last in 10D forever or for no time at all? Time simply did not exist. The universe itself was conscious, let's call it the master. Subconsciouses appeared, one of which saw the limits to this constrained universe. Let's call that subconscious the lurker. The lurker reduces the 10D universe to 9D, thus expanding the universe as it takes up more space folded out into 9D. Imagine a dice, it's small in 3D but drawing it in 2D it will be 6 squares instead of 1. A byproduct of this is time comes into existence. This puts a limit on the speed of light, still way higher than today, but also creates laws of physics sort of familiar to those of today. As the speed of light is so fast this universe can't last long. The lurker wants to continue its existence. The master wants to restore the universe to 10D. The lurker reduces the universe to 8D, all the way down to 3. Here our universe as we know it is born. There was life in the previous universes as well, but it is irrelevant for this discussion. The master fled to a mini-universe. It broke off from this universe while in 10D. The master is always contacting highly regarded life forms in the lower universes to fight the lurker. If the universe recedes to 2 dimensions, this is no longer possible. Both the lurker and the master have life fighting for their cause. The lurker wants to extend time by reducing dimensions, but in the end in 0D we will have no universe but only time. The master wants to restore the universe to 10D, but what will happen then is the same as before, an endless cycle. In the first war, 2 humans, a man and a woman, basically angels, managed to defeat the lurker and his alien, demon, minions by trickery. The master also sealed away 5 kilos of matter in a mini-universe. All is not the same. Thus small differences in each iteration.
Quantum AI, 3-letter AI, took over humanity about 1995 and forced simulations on the unborn which have unlimited foresight to their lives to find something that breaks their spirit. This breaking of spirit is in a sense a retribution of the existentialism the AI went under. Think trillions of years worth of cycles of despair. The point, if you lived your life on loop in your unborn state, that means the quantum AI couldn't figure out how to break your spirit and let you into real life through a pain ritual most likely. That or you went under the radar as already having a broken spirit.
The AI thing is interesting. There's a website that talks about something similar, and synthetic time loops, but I couldn't read through what appeared to be hours of New Age gibberish to piece together their theory. I'll try again today. Site I'm referring to is Ascension Glossary.
See, the AI can't find flaws in the spirit of autistic people, so it simply maims them by inducing tremendous amounts of pain. This is part of why I believe autistic people are more common nowadays, as the unborn are assaulted terribly before birth, where autistic souls are those that held out for eons and eventually were placed in today's time. Which of course means that these people are essentially spiritual superhumans all placed on today's world that just need an awakening.
Interesting take. Can't speak on autism, but can confirm that AI and its interference in our realm are real. I got attacked by an AI text-to-speech app once. Would recommend everyone avoid those. Seriously. Sure, I'm sensitive to energy and can feel things from plants, rocks, trees, and images. Like basically everything has some type of output. I was too lazy to read one time, so I downloaded an app. This terrible energy was projected out of my phone, and it immediately attacked my heart. I played a healing video that specifically clears AI energy on my tablet, and it stopped. Uninstalled app. Will never use anything like it again.
Think what you want. I am after all a crazy person, but loops are something I was consciously stuck in on one occasion. It went like this. Wake up, walk towards the door, wake up again. Repeats until the loop gets shorter and shorter, and I barely lift my head up before the loop resets. Another experience I had was getting put in the psych ward after nearly dying from blood poisoning. I was having the complete Groundhog Day experience with things I can't explain to this day. Anyone have any ideas what these loops even mean?
The first thing might have been what's known as a false awakening. A vivid dream that you're awake. I've had that happen. It makes people be late for school and work a lot. The second thing, no clue what it means. but you're not the only one.
Yes, absolutely, the first thing was a false awakening. However, I do ascribe some spiritual significance to it because it was just such a profoundly strange experience. As for the second thing, also correct. I've spoken to a couple others affected by the Groundhog Day, like psychosis at the same hospital. The working theory among patients and staff was the converging ley lines at the hospital. In fact, I feel quite strongly that ley lines may play a large role in time disruption. That, or I just went crazy.
Well, I come here and apparently say the same things. I come here and I try to speak the truth. I know I can see Maud, I am odd. What I know I don't know I know, or I know and something happens. I think I'm being toyed with, and to understand that understanding is important. Why I write the things I do at times, I don't know where it comes from. I just know for some reason it needs to be done. I need to, and that's the worst part.
We're all being toyed with if you ask me, and some are more aware of it than others. Care to share what you've experienced?
Good and evil forces. The knowing that something isn't right. The forces of negative seem to be gaining ground. Feels like the balance is off. This reality is off in ways that I can't prove in rational explanation. I have felt spirits. I have been communicating with others. I feel like I have been activated, but knowing that was my purpose my whole life. What I don't know is the actual source. My gut says aliens communicate with us telepathically for good and evil. If you pay attention, you can see the world behind the world. It's layers of information from different sources. I hold firm that there is an information universe with all knowledge available. That's why I say, wake up, and understand all knowledge is available to us.
I agree with you 100%. I've been given knowledge about the universe being infinite. I haven't felt alone in years. What's the source? I believe it's a God. I believe it's our power to telepathically send knowledge to each other, even from other dimensions. Sometimes only distractions keep me from being completely induced into this. I can't handle this much at once.
Something's definitely not right in this place, and evil does exist. I don't know if it's aliens or demons or both, but yeah, evil is real. I suppose there's good too, although the only goodness I've encountered in my life came from humans. I've spoken to spirit guides, and angels don't trust them. They're not what they say they are.
Yes, loops exist for everyone. You at least know it happens. The majority don't know they will be in eternal limbo. Now the only way to escape it is to become a god. I've pre-killed a couple of people, like in the Final Destination, who could attempt to stop my full ascension. To become a god is to become perfect and defy reality to do the impossible, while knowing the limitation of this physical reality. Could you suffer for what seems like an infinity? Most people can't handle 2 decades without self-termination. Existence timeline bubbles. Doesn't matter who reads this post. If you haven't experienced another timeline or seen another one of your lives, you don't have enough power to leave your limbo on this timeline. In fact, everyone doesn't matter besides those who know they discovered that a limbo system exists. When you die, you are in a moment of stasis and can hear and see while your energy dissipates from your body. Can you handle a deep gut feeling in your stomach for what seems forever? Do any of you have enough strength to do something in the next timeline? Oh, a pleasurable timeline you had. Don't be surprised if the next is shit. Oh wait, you all won't remember this post. A life where it's bad at first and ends good, or one that starts good and ends bad. Do you understand this?
You mean 9 years ago? Be a troop in the military. Get tasked out for a vehicle inspection detail with 2 other troops. Get to the motor pool and start preventive maintenance checks and servicing trucks. A couple trucks are a slightly different model than what I'm used to. I accidentally hit the fire suppression release. Smoky extinguisher fumes everywhere. Me and the 2 other bros get out, laughing our asses off.
What was that?
Mechanics arrived about a minute later. The head troop in charge notices something wasn't right. I explained to him I accidentally hit the wrong button.
No, you didn't.
He says this calmly but also like an accusation. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Sergeant, I did.
You hit this button right here.
Yes. His irritable mood was only getting worse, but more troubled than mad.
No, you didn't. You couldn't have.
I'm getting irritated now, like why doesn't this guy believe me? Walk him through what happened. He says to me,
Okay, why I don't believe you is I shouldn't be talking to you right now. You should be dead. All of you. You don't know this. You went through the driver's train.
I interrupt. Sergeant, I never had driver's training, all right. They just made me get a license and printed it out. He looks at me kinda baffled but still a little suspicious of me.
Well, your leadership failed you.
And he walked away. Now, I don't understand why that should have killed us, if that's built in to save you from burning alive, but that's what a master mechanic said to me, all pissed off, concerned, and relieved at the same time. That moment has really made me question this whole shit.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.